On this story, joining me now live from Washington is Des Roches. He is an associate professor of Near East South Asia Center at the National Defense University. David, great to see you. How realistic is this plan of taking out the Iranian supreme leader?
Well, it's certainly within Israel's capabilities. I mean, they've destroyed most of the Revolutionary Guard's leadership. They've destroyed, or they've killed, I think, 8 or 9 of the top nuclear weapon scientists in Iran. I think they could do it if they wanted to do it. But so far, Israel has not attacked either the political leadership of Iran or Iran's oil export capacity. So there seems to be a degree of restraint that Israel is exercising.
Right, but certainly if you look at the messaging coming out of Tel Aviv, and if you watch Netanyahu's interview that he gave to Fox News recently, I mean, he's clearly saying that it's not off tables. And according to reports, this idea was rejected by President Donald Trump. Why do you think, in your view, why do you think Donald Trump opposes this idea?
Yeah. So first off, I think Israel put it out there as a means of deterrence. The first strikes were against the military, the Iranian military, and their nuclear facilities, and the Iranian counterstrike was against Israeli military facilities. But on the second day, Iran broadened it to include oil storage facilities. So Israel did that. I think they want to basically tell Iran, don't think about striking our political leadership because we can do that back to you. I think that President Trump is probably well advised to steer clear of this. I mean, we do not have a good history in recent years of imposing government on others. Given the amount of stress on the Iranian regime, both from within as well as exacerbated here right now, what you've got is basically a slow motion coup that the Revolutionary Guard started in 2009. They now control the security apparatus and about 45% of the economy. I think that given the fact that they will have shown that they can't deliver prosperity, they can't deliver peace, they can't deliver security, maybe in the wake of this, the Iranians themselves will get rid of the regime. And if that were to happen, that would be probably a much longer lasting solution than if there was just an assassination and somebody else becomes the supreme leader.
David, I want to take a step back and ask you, what do you make of Israel's justification of launching this so-called operation against Iran?
Well, if you look in the statements of senior Iranian leaders, I think Israel's right to be concerned about the possibility of Iran having nuclear weapons. And I can tell you that many military officials and senior officials in the Arab states adjacent to Iran have the same concerns, but don't often express them as publicly as Israel does. So I think that Israel takes a look, they conduct their security based on their own concerns. Sometimes they work closely with the United States, but sometimes they don't. And in this instance, they said, well, the international community is probably failing. The IAEA report that said it could no longer verify whether or not Iran was making a nuclear weapon came out on June 11th, and the strikes started on, June 12th or 13th. They also came to the conclusion that no other country was going to denuclearize Iran. And they came to the conclusion that the red lines that the Iranian delegation said about enrichment were not going to be abandoned voluntarily by Iran, and that would give Iran the ability to create a nuclear weapon. So I think they viewed this as an existential threat and acted on a very large scale and accepted a significant amount of risk in order to deal with what they saw as an existential threat.
And David, talking about risk, what do you think is the biggest risk involved here?
I think the biggest risk here is that the conflict spreads laterally. So by that I mean if Iran were to attack the Arab Gulf states, or any leaders of the Iranian regime have threatened to attack any country that has American facilities within it, which would include Turkey, which would include Egypt. If they do that, that obviously has the potential to draw in a much broader conflict and to create a bigger issue there. I think the short-term, smaller scale, historically, when you look at Iran's force projection, they have proxies, they have missiles, they have the threat of nuclear stuff. That's kind of off the table for now. Then they seize ships, and then they take hostages, and of course terrorism. So those three threats are probably the most likely, and they're not as big as a spreaded war.
Fascinating insights. David Des Roches, it's always a pleasure talking to you. Thank you very much for joining me here on TRT World. Really appreciate your taking out the time.